Welcome to our house, the House of Fi. At the House of Fi, we are all about achieving financial independence for families. Wherever you are in your financial independence journey, we want our house to be a place where you can learn and get inspired. If you are a parent on the journey to Fi, then come on in. We're glad that you're here. Here are your hosts, Wendy and Tamika.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to House of Fi. My name is Wendy Mays, and with me I have my fabulous co-host, Tamika Downs.
Hi, everyone.
And today we are speaking with Naseema McElroy of Financially Intentional, and we are so happy to have her today. We think it's going to be a really great episode with a lot of really good discussions, so we hope you enjoy.
Today we have Naseema McElroy, a single mom who went from owning 5 properties, lost them all, and then dug her way out of $1 million of debt in approximately 2 years. She's the owner of Financially Intentional, also offers one-on-one money coaching services. We hope you all enjoy today's episode.
Naseema, could you introduce yourself to our audience?
Yes. Hi, I'm Naseema of Financially Intentional. I'm a labor and delivery nurse and a mom. And I guess my claim to fame is that I was able to pay off over a little under $1 million in debt in 3 years, and then build my net worth to multiple six figures in that time. That's pretty much what I'm known for. So now I just share my lessons along the way with other people and try to help people understand the world of financial independence and help them on their path to financial independence.
Well, what you've accomplished is I'm just in awe. I mean, that's so amazing what you've been able to accomplish, and you're doing it as a single mom, right?
Yeah.
See, that's why we have you on the show, because I think that you will inspire a lot of our listeners. One of our goals is to make sure that we are bringing on guests who will speak to just a vast array of parents, because there are so many forms of parenthood these days, and it's not just one size fits all. So I think that your story it certainly is motivating and inspiring to others.
Well, I will say that through my journey, I did it as a single mom. Right now, I have a very supportive partner. But while I was doing all the debt elimination and the wealth accumulation, I was doing it on my own.
Yes, ma'am. How did you learn about the financial independence community, or did you? What was the catalyst for you accomplishing all of that?
Well, I learned about the financial independence community pretty late in my journey, I would say. To me, it seemed really late. I had already paid off all my debt, and I was kind of like, now what? What do I aim for now? Like, I didn't even know what was next. I was kind of like just of that mindset, like debt pay off. And so I actually was introduced to the financial independence movement through Jamila Souffrant. And she had Brad and Jonathan from Choose FI on her podcast, and I was just blown away. So I started binge listening to Choose FI podcast, and my world opened up. And so that's how I became introduced to it. But like I said, I had already eliminated all my debt at that point, but now I needed to focus on what could I do to be financially independent.
So then let's back up just a little bit. What was the catalyst for you to start paying off your debt?
So for me to start paying off my debt, I was in a situation where from the outside, everything looked really good. Like if you looked at my Facebook post, if you looked on Instagram, it looked like I was living the life. I had a brand new construction house. I had a luxury car. I had that coveted 6-figure income. But I was broke and I was struggling. My daughter was turning 1. I didn't have anything in savings. I didn't have anything planned for her if anything were to happen to me. Mm-hmm. And I owed, like, for this brand new house, with brand new construction, you have to do landscaping, you have to get blinds. And I had a big old 4,000 square foot house for me and my daughter. I had 36 windows and I had to pay for blinds for all those windows. And that caused me, like, I ran out of money with everything else I had to do. So I had to borrow money from my sister. And that was like my breaking point. I hate asking for help. Right. And in that moment, I was like, I have to do better. I make too much money to be broke. I was sick and tired of being sick and tired, and I knew things had to change. And so I just started researching financial podcasts. And at first I thought I was just like, I need to get better at saving and investing, because to me, I didn't have a debt problem because my only debt was my student loans. And then I stumbled upon Dave Ramsey, and like I do, I've been listening to a whole bunch of his podcasts and realized that a lot of what was standing in the way was my debt, because at that point I was paying $1,900 alone on my $200,000 in student loan debt. $1,500 or more of that, and it was probably more than $1,500 at that point, was going only towards interest. So my debt wasn't moving, but it was taking a huge sum of my money every month to pay towards just my student loans alone, not to mention my mortgage and all that kind of stuff. So not only was I house poor, I just didn't have any savings. I didn't know where my money was going. I had no clue. So once I started to go down that path of following Dave Ramsey's baby steps, then I started to rapidly attack my debt. And that's how my journey started.
I think a lot of us share that common beginning. I hear it a lot in the financial independence community, is that's where we start, is with the baby steps. And I was a Dave Ramsey loyalist as well for a long time.
Yeah.
As an older in my journey, we found financial independence when both we were 46, and we were 46, and just like you, making great money, knowing the foundations, but I was almost in a panic because I still didn't have anything saved. And
right.
I felt like you, like, what if something were to happen to us? What if, God forbid, something terrible happened to us? We have a little bit of life insurance, but we've also got all this debt, and the debt is going to take it up.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just interesting that that's a lot of where people begin, is with the baby steps.
Yeah.
And so that took you 3 years?
That took me about 2.5 years to eliminate that debt.
Okay. And so then now you're in the wealth building phase,
I am in my wealth accumulation phase. Yes.
That's so awesome. So awesome. So kind of, where are you then? What are you doing to, keep that going forward?
Well, until recently, I was really focused on that FI number, like we always strive for in the FI community, like saving 25 times my expenses and making sure that's saved up. And I had a plan to where if I was just to work like I was working, in about 3.5 years, I would have hit my FI number. And then, of course, life happened. I was transferred jobs to a different facility. I'm a nurse, so I transferred to a different hospital, and it became a very toxic work environment. And then my partner also got an opportunity around the same time to take a position out of state. And so things kind of fell into place as to where it was an opportunity for me to kind of step back, move to a lower cost of living area, and not have to work so much. And so I chose that route for my sake, my health, the sake of my family, because I just saw myself spiraling down a path, just really being impacted negatively by the work environment that I was in. Mm-hmm. And I didn't want to have to work so hard anymore. I wanted to be able to focus on my family and actually enjoying life, because I had been on the grind since high school, and I was kind of tired of the grind. Like, it is wearing. And like I said, I could only have done this for 3 more years, but that was too long. So instead of focusing on that FI number or that 25x my expenses, I started focusing on making sure that my savings rate was still really high. And by that, I mean over 50% of my take-home pay. And I decided to relocate out of state, keep one of my jobs that I had. And right now I'm at a point where I can work about 5 to 6 days a month as opposed to a week that I was working. And I'm able to spend time with my daughter. I'm able to spend time on Financially Intentional and helping other people gain financial independence. And I'm still having a very high savings rate.
I think that is so incredible and very inspiring for other people, because I know that so many of us, especially in kind of, we're not old, but people in their 30s and 40s and 50s, they still have children at home and they're working so hard
right
to survive, running in the rat race, and, you're missing out on so many moments with your children. And so to be able to have eliminated all of your debt, to have saved some money, to give yourself the freedom to work how you want to work so that you could be with your daughter is just, that's the dream, right?
Right. And that's what I tell people. It's not just about building wealth. It's not just about having sums of money. It's about freedom. It's about options, and it's about taking control over your life. That's what taking charge of your finances can do for you. Like, it's so much more important than just building up money in your bank account.
That's why it's called financial independence.
That's right.
So, Naseema, frugality and minimalism are big in the financial independence community. What about things like your wardrobe, your daughter, vacations, that sort of stuff?
I have basically like a capsule wardrobe. I don't spend a lot on vacation. I go on vacations only when, like, okay, so my daughter likes to stay at like Grateful Lodge. That's not cheap, right? But I only go when it's like super duper on sale, and they always offer me a discount because I go so much like that. So when I plan my vacations that people might think are extravagant, I'm doing it like on the cheap side. I always go like off season when nobody's there. I always go in the middle of the week, the flexibility of being a nurse, and so I make those kind of decisions, but I probably like spend more money on things that I enjoy than most people in the community would. But, I'm still very intentional about the decisions.
So when you talk about that, because I feel like a lot of people are, there are the really extreme deprivation based, I am getting FI as fast as I possibly can. And then there are those who spend extravagantly. I feel like there are more people coming out that are saying, I can't do all these wine all the time. I need some days where I can, I like to see beautiful things in my environment, or I like luxury or whatever. I know for me, I have focused more on a savings rate so that I can just take a break because I have done a lot of work. Is that something that you do, or how do you balance deprivation and coming out of the Dave Ramsey time? Yeah. And then getting back to what you really like.
But even during Dave Ramsey, I wasn't living in deprivation. I just changed some things up. Really, all I needed to do was know where my money was going and actually have a goal set for my money. I didn't have to really change my spending habits. I didn't have to eat beans and rice.
Beans and rice?
I like beans and rice and all that stuff, but that wasn't on my menu every night. I was eating good. But it just was about just knowing exactly where my money was going. That's all that changed. I did make better decisions around my housing. Like, I had this big old 4,000 square foot house for just me and my daughter, basically. So I brought on roommates, and so that took my housing costs down. I didn't make that many adjustments. But
so that must mean you have a decent sized salary.
I do.
Okay. So you have a big shovel, they say.
I have a big shovel, but that wasn't intentional either. Like, I just happen to live in the Bay Area, which has a high cost of living, but it also has the highest salaries for nurses in the world.
Yeah.
And that's just happenstance. Actually, when I first decided to be a nurse, I was living in Houston, and I wanted to be a nurse in Houston, but my grandfather got sick, so I moved back here. And then I just happened to get into like the top university in the country. Well, one of the top universities. I went to UCSF for nursing school, and then I just stayed. And so that wasn't an intentional decision to live here. I know a lot of people that live in other places like Atlanta, Canada, Florida, that actually travel here to work, to actually staff in the hospital staff to work just because of our salaries. But that wasn't my MO. Like, I was just, this is my home.
It would be interesting to know, like, how much more of a salary it is, and whether it's they talk about geo arbitrage, salary arbitrage. Is it worth it to go and fly somewhere for the weekend or for 3 days days or a full week to work and then have a week off? Because I do know some nurses who have done that, living down in Maryland and flying up to Boston. I know we talked about that.
Actually, that's what I'm about to do because I'm actually moving out of state. I'm actually relocating, which is news.
You're moving?
I'm moving. Mm-hmm. I'm moving. My partner got a job in Reno, which is
that's where I met my husband, was in Reno.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he played football for UNR, and we met in a bar. We met in a bar in Reno called the Rodeo Rock, and they played like hip hop music on like Thursday night. Most of the week it was a country bar, and so Reno, it holds a fond place in my heart. Tahoe's not far away, which is amazing.
Yeah, and I'm only 3 hours away from here.
Right.
So I'm actually going to work. I'm still going to keep my job. Well, one of my jobs. But the way, and this is the thing about financial independence or working on that FI journey and knowing your savings rates and your goals and all this kind of stuff. Everything kind of all happened for a reason. Right. One of my jobs, actually, when I moved back when I transferred to a different hospital in the healthcare organization that I was working at, and it became pretty apparent that it was a pretty unsafe place to work. There was all kind of events that kept on occurring that shouldn't happen, and it was like commonplace for them. And so I felt very uncomfortable working there. And so I made a decision to kind of step away from that job. Yeah. So now I only have one job for the first time in my life. Like, I don't even remember when the last time I only had one job. Like, this is crazy. But I'm able to do it because I had such a high savings rate. Right. And now I'm moving to Reno where the cost of living is so cheap. So I'm going to actually fly down to the Bay Area. Only have to come once a month and do my shifts straight. And I'll have 3 weeks off. So talk about being able to focus on spending time with my daughter. And my income is not going to drop that significantly. Or like you, Tamika, I focus on savings rate. I'm still going to have a 50% or higher savings rate.
Amazing.
So, that's all it's about. Like,
what's the end game for you? Are you looking to do something once you reach a certain point? I mean, we hear all about like FI numbers. Do you have that, or do you have a big plan for what you want to do?
I want to have the choice of whether to work or not. I love what I do. I'm a labor and delivery nurse. I bring babies into this world. There's nothing better than that. Being in this situation in the job that I chose to leave showed me that it's important to have choices where you work. Right. And have those choices that if things aren't going well, that you can feel comfortable with walking away and finding somewhere else or just not working there. But my goal is to have the choice of whether I want to work or not and travel the world. I want to show my daughter as many cultures as possible, and I want to explore the world. Right. But I don't have a number in mind yet. I used to have a number, but I just feel like things are so fluid. And the bottom line is if I can keep my savings rate at 50%, it doesn't matter. And like, I was like reaching for this goal. Like I was going to continue to do grind it out for 3 years. If I ground it out for 3 years, I could reach that FI number. Mm-hmm. But then I was just like, for what? Like, I'm killing myself. I know I'm going to be good financially as long as I save at least half of my income. Mm-hmm. So why not enjoy my life right now? Why not enjoy these years with my daughter? I'm never going to get these years back. So I need to enjoy that now and make sure that I'm taking care of myself because I was killing myself. And just stepping away from that position really let me see that, like, how emotionally damaging that was for me and my daughter because, they feel it too. Oh, yeah. So it's all about choices. Yeah. Right.
Wow. I mean, I just love to take a moment and slow down and really think of all the things that you're just grateful for and how much you went from a position where you were stressed out with headaches about your house and this house and that house and debt to this revelation of that people are doing really wonderful things with money. Then you went through the whole journey, and now you are to the point where it's like you have arrived. It's not necessarily arriving at this FI number. It's arriving at a place where you have purchased your freedom
Right.
Now you can make the decisions that you actually want to make. It's amazing.
And your little girl gets to benefit from all of that, which is just You touched on in the beginning that you felt that there was a void in the community of people of color. And so I wanted to talk about that a bit more, because that's one of the reasons that Tamika and I decided to join forces, was not just have a voice for more women in the financial independence community, but also for persons of color. And so I just wanted to talk about that a little bit more.
So one of the times that this came up was in the recent post about, it was a FI documentary that's being made.
Yes, right.
And, all of us, the women in this community, the ethnic individuals in this community, are really living and breathing and supporting this movement. We have our websites, we have our podcasts, and so when I saw that there were no African American, Asian people of color in this group of 9 or 10 or however many, it was apparent immediately. And you spoke up bravely. I want to know what you feel about, is it okay to speak up? How do you put your stake in the ground and say, I'm a part of this too. I want the FaceTime too. I want my debt-free screens and my accomplishments to be celebrated too.
Right. I'm not used to being one of many. My undergraduate university was only 3% Black. I went to USC. In my nursing program, I was one of 83.
Wow. Wow.
So I'm always used to having to say something, to be like, listen, this is not relatable to me, or we need to be represented in this kind of way. Even in the job that I was telling you about, I've had to advocate for women of color like us, because they weren't being listened to.
Right. And just like what happened with Serena recently.
It's so sad. It's so sad. I literally had to throw my body across one of my patients. This is not going to happen. It's not going to go down like this. But I've had to fight so hard. It'll be nice for once for me not have to say anything. Right. And so that's what I feel obligated to. Right. I feel obligated to make sure that our voices are heard and bring it to people so that they understand that this is possible for them. Because let me tell you, when they hear people like Dave Ramsey, a lot of people won't get past that first show because they cannot relate.
Right.
They have no way of relating. When they scroll through those pictures of those people on that documentary, you think somebody's going to click to watch that movie? Not nobody like me initially, because it doesn't seem relatable.
Right.
So my mission is to make sure that more people that look like me have a better understanding of this world and know that it's possible for them. Mm-hmm. So I don't have to keep speaking up. Mm-hmm. But unfortunately, that's the norms of society, It's sad. It's sad that in 2018, I still get to be the only one, or we get to be the only few, and we still got to say something. And some people are still scared to say something.
Right.
And the responses that we get are pretty much like, palliative. It's just not, it shouldn't be acceptable.
Right.
And so,
and it shouldn't
we just have to make sure our voices are heard, not give up the good fight.
Right.
Well, thank you for saying something there.
It should be mainstream. It shouldn't be this show is, just for women of color, just for men of color, whatever. It should be for everybody. Mm-hmm. And that's when I think that we'll be in a better place.
Yeah.
It was funny because we had already decided to do the podcast, Tamika and I was driving. My husband was in the car with me, and I was just feeling that. There's who are my little boys going to look at besides their dad? Who are they going to look at for examples? Yeah, I'm their mom, and they're going to listen to me and stuff. But they also want to see people that look like them. And I'm like, honey, I don't know any Black men in the financial independence community. I don't think I've seen one. The very next day on Jamila Souffrant's podcast, Journey to Launch, she had the 2 men from Checks and Balances on there, and I'm like, yes,
we're out here.
I'm on a mission. We need to get them on.
Yeah, we're out here. We're out here, but it's just so few and far between. And I just wish our stories were told more because our stories are unique. I didn't have parents that taught me how to be frugal. I was raised by actually a single dad, which is really an anomaly. I was raised in West Oakland. You know, like it was a norm to see death and shootings and jail. And, you know, most of the Black men that I went to school with are either dead or in jail. And the only thing that I was taught was that you just go to college. You got to make it out, you know, and you're smart. So you're our hope. So you got to go to college. So it was an expectation for me to go to college by any means necessary. It was an expectation to me to go to a good school. My aunt told me, go to community college first, save your money, and then transfer. And I was like, what do you think? Who do you think I am? Why would I go to a community college? I worked hard all these years. I got these good grades. I went through these AP classes. I didn't do that to go to a community college. Game goofy, not even knowing. Just because I was told that that's what I was supposed to do. All I knew was I have to shoot for the stars. And then I'll figure out how to pay for it later. I wasn't taught the same things like make sure that you're taking these college classes in high school so that your credits can transfer over. Yeah, I was in AP classes, but I still, even my counselors didn't tell me, you know, that you can test out and do this stuff, or you know that there's other ways to pay for college. It was an expectation. Like when I went to my high school counselor, it was all about loans, a few scholarships. It wasn't, and you know, back in the day, it was like FastWeb, and it was like millions of scholarships. Okay, who are really gonna get these? You know, it wasn't about making smarter financial decisions about the college just that you go to, especially when I'm a nurse. I could have went to a JC and been making the same amount of money. It doesn't matter.
Right. Exactly.
You know, it's like a weird, a crazy path that I got to nursing. But I mean, like, I made a lot of mistakes because I just didn't have anybody who looked like me or anybody in my family that knew how to navigate this financial world. And so it's important for me to share my story with other people that are coming up so that they know that there's a better way, that there's a different way, that, you know, you can be successful. And it doesn't have anything to do with getting into the top colleges and all these kind of things. There's so many options. There's so many things that you can do with your life. I don't even know if I believe in traditional education. I don't even believe I don't even know if I believe in sending my daughter to a 4-year university. You know, so a lot of things have changed for me, but I want to make sure that what I learned, I'm sharing that and passing that down to other people.
You know, I think it's going to be a struggle that we all need to think about. We've all gone through and we've taken out these loans. So now that we're on the other side of it, feels like maybe you shouldn't even go because you can get jobs and stuff. But we got to figure this out to either figure out what did we really learn? Did we really learn don't go and do that? Find another way, or did we learn do it strategically? And what does that look like? Like, I need a game plan. My kids are gonna have to do this in this year and that year. And I didn't take the time to learn that at the time. I took some AP credits, but I didn't take, you know, the community college credits, which is something that we need to learn more about so that our kids can do it. I didn't take the CLEP tests. I didn't take all of the micro scholarships that are out there for $500 and $1,000. And so, you know, I think we have more to learn because in the end, our degrees got us 6-figure jobs.
Oh, totally.
So if we can't figure out the other way to get there, I don't know. That's what I'm thinking. Because I got to that same point too, where I was like, I don't know, my kids need to go. Because it's painful.
But believe me, I mean, I'm saving money for her college. I mean, I am putting that money away. Like, I'm not just going to be like, I'm not going to do anything about it. But I still haven't made a decision.
Can you tell everybody how you're saving or what you're saving in?
Yeah, so I actually have a 529 for my daughter. And my goal is to put $100,000 in there, like front load $100,000 in there and just let it do what it do. And if she doesn't use it, I'll leave that as like my legacy building tool for the rest of my family. Somebody else in my family can use it. So I don't feel like that's going to be wasted money because I feel like we don't really transfer wealth very well. And so that's going to be my transfer. One of the things that I use to transfer wealth if she doesn't use it. And she might use it. I mean, who knows? Now you can use it, K through 12. She might not have to go to, private school. So, you know, I feel like I like to have that option available.
So what Naseema's referring to is that with the 529 rules that recently changed, you don't have to wait until college to use the money. If your child is in a private school and it costs money, you can pay for that tuition starting from kindergarten. There's a huge change. Yes, I have a 529 as well. I started it at birth. Mm-hmm. Actually, my ex-husband worked for UPromise, and instead of getting rewards points, it puts money into her account. And then every birthday, and now that they're older, you can't just put the little slip in that says you can also give here, because everyone wants to buy a gift.
Do, all the yes. I mean, like, she has enough toys. Come on, y'all. I have enough toys left and right. Why do you need to buy her any more toys? Don't buy her no clothes. Please. I know. She has enough clothes.
There's got to be a way.
$20 can mean a lot later on. Just, no tax. Just slide the $20 into her account and just leave it like that. I don't understand why people have a problem with that. Please don't buy her that. She got everything.
So, did I understand you correctly in that you work for a university hospital? Is that what?
I don't work for a university hospital.
I was going to ask you what vehicles you were using for your retirement accounts.
Oh, I do work at a hospital, though, that does offer a 457.
Oh.
Yeah, it's actually the strangest anomaly, because I work for, this is a hospital that's, because of how it's zoned or whatever governance they have, whatever, we're like government employees, like firemen. We work for a township, so we have the same benefits as them.
Oh, fantastic.
I have only worked there a year, benefited. I've always worked there in a per diem role. Even though I staff, I never had the benefits, so I can't actually have the 457. I actually could, and I've been there so long now, even my boss would be willing to structure a salary position for me where I would be benefited, but I can still adjust my schedule how I need to still live in Reno. So that's one of the things that I'm battling, because I'm like $37,000 off the top of my income would be like a major boost, like to go into my savings and to have that tax deductibility. Because I'm not a math person, I really need to sit down with someone and like.
I was just about to ask you that.
Yeah.
I was like, can you explain the boost? But you don't know.
Right. No, girl. No. But I know so I'm like, the difference in what my salary would be versus my salary from having per diem, no benefits, to having benefits, taking that money off the top. I mean, I know it would be major savings wise, but dang, how much money would I be taking home?
Right.
Especially because I'm only working one week out of the month. So, I mean, I'm sure I could do it.
So then how are you saving your money now?
Right now, I do max out my 401ks or 403b in that case. Right. I did have two jobs. So one was a 401k, one was a 403b. The one matched, but I'm leaving that job. And then the 403b. So that's maxed out. I do the $14,000 a year for my daughter's 529. And then I just put the rest in a brokerage account. So basically one of my checks I don't even touch. That all goes into funding those savings. You
mean one of your checks per month?
One of my jobs. So all that.
One of your jobs. Okay.
My income automatically is like going into some kind of savings vehicle.
Okay. Yes. Okay. I got you.
Nice.
But this is all recent because, I just paid off all my debt.
Right.
Last year. So in November officially. So like, I've just been focusing on wealth accumulation now, but I'm still new. Like I ain't got a whole lot of money. So people might think that I got racks in the bank. I really don't. I really don't, but I have enough. Like I have enough, so I am free. And so that's the thing. Like I do have really ambitious goals, but my plan is just like yours to me, to focus on my savings rate.
Right. Yeah. Wonderful. Well, we are approaching pretty quickly the time where our time is over. Do you have any final questions?
Well, do you think that you'll go on and do a Dave Ramsey scream? Because I really miss those. I miss hearing them all the time.
I do.
You'll do it.
Yeah, I can't
do
it. He yell at me. He'd be like, "You got debt free and went back in debt." I'm like, "Yeah, because." No, I gotta stay true. I wouldn't just disrespect Dave Ramsey's brand, but I really want to do my debt through screen. Like, you just don't know. Like, me and my daughter had it practice. We had a remix that screen.
I did want to give you a chance. Are you still, what services do you offer through your blog? If you want to talk about the services that you offer really quickly, that would be wonderful.
So what I'm focusing on right now is a group coaching program that I'm doing. It's a 6-week program that walks you through paying off debt. So debt elimination, budgeting, investing, protecting your assets, and like, what do you need to do to be on a path to FI? So basically, how do you increase your savings rate and all that kind of stuff? And so it basically is like the financial adulting 101, like everything you should know about your finances that just weren't taught to you. And so that's what I'm focused on right now. And so I'm opening that program up to the public next month. Right now I'm going through my beta group, going incredible. People are seeing like massive changes in their finances, and I'm super proud of my group right now. So I can't wait to implement this to everybody, to roll this out to the public. And then I do one-on-one coaching, but it's really just, I don't have a lot of time to do. Well, I don't have more time to work with people one-on-one. So it's really just like a basic surface level coaching, and that's like a 30-minute coaching. But I am working on expanding my services, so stay tuned. But yeah, this group coaching 6-week program is where it's at right now, so I'm super excited.
If people want to join you on that, they get that through your website? Yeah,
so it's financiallyintentional.com right now. It's financiallyintentional.com / I can't even never ever say that course info. So if you want to find out more about the course, it's course info for all the information about the courses right now.
Are there any other places where people can find you?
I'm very active on Instagram, Facebook. I have a Facebook group that's really engaged. Facebook and Instagram is where I'm at. Constantly, like daily. Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we're where we ask our end of the episode questions. And so I'll go ahead and get started. What was one lesson you learned about money or finances, good or bad, growing up, that you've carried with you into this journey?
I wish I had an answer to that. I didn't learn much of anything. I mean, like early on, it was just like, just always have a way to make money. And so I always had a way to make money. And so that's what's carried me through. No matter what, I'm going to always have money, no matter what.
If there was one lesson that you want to convey or could convey to your daughter, if she were, older and listening to this episode, what would it be?
It would be that financial independence equals freedom. Freedom to choose to do what you want out of life, to pursue your passions, to not have to be in a toxic relationship, to not have to be in toxic work environments, to actually make decisions where you feel like you're in control because you have options. So financial independence equals freedom and options. And so if you have your money together, you can move and shake the way that you need to, especially when times get tough.
Right. And then the final one is, do you have any life hacks for living in a high cost of living area for other parents that might be living in one of those areas? Yeah,
I really feel like people are really hesitant against getting roommates when they have families, and like they're really leery. But like for example here, like we have a lot of nurses that come through that travel, hardly ever there. They usually work at night, so they're asleep all day. Like, don't be afraid to be creative when it comes to your living situation, because the pushback I always get is that there is no way I can keep my housing costs less than 30% of my income. And I'm just like, whoa, it's possible. Even if you don't make a lot of money, there are other ways. You just have to be more creative in a high cost of living area. So don't make excuses, and I think that's what people do. They fall into like these excuses. There are ways. Don't limit yourself.
Right. I love it. I think that's a great one.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Naseema. This has been so awesome to chat with you and get to know you better. I really, really enjoyed talking to you today.
I am so honored, you guys. I appreciate it so much. I had so much fun talking to you guys.
Bye. Bye. Well, House of Five family, that brings this episode to a close. We appreciate you listening, and if you've enjoyed the show, please leave us a review on iTunes. To show our appreciation for every 5 reviews we receive, we will reward that listener with one of our favorite reads. You can find out what that is in our current show notes. Our hope for this show is that we have both inspired you and provided you with practical tools that will aid you on your road to financial independence. We welcome your feedback. You can message us through our website in one of two ways, either through our contact us option or you can leave us a voicemail. The third way that you can contact us is via our email address, and that is info@houseoffy.com. We read every message. Again, thank you for listening, and please come back to our house again next week. Have a great week, everybody.